Hey, what's going on, everyone? Okay, so this past Wednesday, I had the opportunity to go down and testify in support of Senate Bill 74 in the Indiana State House, and it's a bill that would make it illegal for employers to mandate people take the COVID vaccine. And really is a personal liberties kind of bill. It's like if you have a conscience issue or a religious liberties issue, or if you just don't even like needles, like should the employer be able to force you to get a vaccination? Like, is that something that's right? And should we outlaw it, or should we allow employers to do that? So Senate Bill 74 would make it illegal for employers to do that. So I went down in support of it. I didn't really know what I was walking into. There were probably about 100 people down there. And, you know, COVID, I'm going to tell you this, COVID has made things very interesting when you go down to the State House. The senators in this committee hearing, they were down in the basement. And then the people who testified in support or opposition of this bill were upstairs on the fourth floor. And I walk in, I'm a production guy, I do audio and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And I walk in, they have their computer sitting on a table stacked on 3 books. And I thought to myself, I'm like, this is why government shouldn't be allowed to do much, because they can't even make a Zoom meeting go off well, right? When you have senators who are in the basement and you have people up on the fourth floor, you can't even, it was hard to hear them. They couldn't hear the people testifying well. And I mean, nobody knew what was going on. And it's just hilarious to me that you have these lawmakers who think they know how to run our lives, and yet they can't even get a Zoom meeting to go. The computer fell off the books at one point when things were starting to, you know, towards the end of the testimony. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh man, this is why Ronald Reagan was so spot on when he said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm with the government and I'm here to help, right? It's because even in Indiana, where we have Republican lawmakers, they're inept. They cannot do anything right. That's the thing that is ticking off Republicans across the country right now. And I see it firsthand in Indiana. And you have these Republican lawmakers now that the media just came out with a report and said the reason, overwhelmingly, there was support for this bill. Like, people were, like, there were, out of the 100 people there, I think there were 2 people that were in support of the bill there. And so, but now the media is saying that the reason that there wasn't more opposition, and then you have some Republican lawmakers like that are on this committee hearing that are probably in the pockets of these big health departments and these hospitals. They're saying, well, the reason the opposition wasn't there was because there were people not wearing their masks. There were people not wearing their masks, right? And that's why the opposition really didn't show up in force. And I'm thinking to myself, no, the reason there's not much opposition there is because the majority of Hoosiers know that this is a good bill. And if you're speaking out against this bill, you don't have much of a brain. It's a personal liberties issue. We had all kinds of people. We had liberals, conservatives, moderates testifying for this bill. Like, there was kind of cool because there was people that you don't see normally allied standing outside this hearing room who were fighting for the same thing. And it was like, hey, government, don't tell me what I need to do with my body, right? And so now all of a sudden we see these Republican lawmakers and the media saying, well, the reason there's not opposition is because there were people not wearing their masks. First of all, I'd like to say, if you have a mask and you're wearing a mask, then you're safe, right? If masks work, then what's the problem? Like, I don't run up to somebody who's wearing a mask and say, you're a fool. That's a you know, ignorant, fearful symbol you have over your face. It doesn't do anything. I don't do that. So why does it matter if I'm not wearing a mask and you're wearing a mask? If masks work, then you should be fine. And if they do work and I don't wear a mask, then guess what? I stand the risk of only hurting myself. And so all of this, but the lawmakers and the media are saying, well, now, and this is Republican lawmakers, okay? So for those of you who think I'm a partisan hack and I'm only on one side of, you know, the aisle all the time, no. I speak out against Republicans probably more than I speak out against Democrats, because Republicans say they know what they should do, but then they get in the office and they don't do it. And now you have the Speaker of the House and you have the Senate Pro Tem. He's basically saying, they're basically saying, we are going to enforce consequences for those who don't wear masks now in the State House. Okay, so it's the people's house. This is not their house. Collectively, it's our house. So now you're saying, if you don't wear a mask and you don't violate your beliefs and your conscience, if you believe that masks are not effective and you don't want to wear them, you're not welcome in your own house. That's what's going on here. And it's just another ploy from just lawmakers in general that are pushing the rights of the people down. They're oppressing the people. That's why President Trump resonates with so many Americans, both Democrat and Republicans around this country. And that's why we're seeing, even in Washington, the Republicans attack President Trump. It's because those politicians who actually care about the people, those are considered the radicals. Those are the ones that really don't want, they're not going along to get along, right? And so they're attacked by the establishment and the elite. So we're seeing that in Washington, and now we're seeing it here in Indiana. And now you have the media calling out those who just want personal freedoms and liberties. They're calling those people radicals. They're saying, you're a radical, you came down, you didn't testify right. That's why we should mandate this, or that's why we shouldn't pass this law, because we have people who don't know how to take care of themselves. Since when is it the government's job to take care of people? It is not the government's job to take care of people. It's the people's responsibility to take care of themselves. That's the whole point of personal liberties and freedoms. And so, forgive me, Republicans, if you're mad at me because I'm not the good little soldier that you want me to be. But guess what? You're not really the real Republicans. That's what's being exposed here. We have lawmakers both in Indiana and on the federal level who aren't real Republicans. And I'm telling you right now, Hamilton County is a red county. Where I live, it's a red county. The moment it goes majority blue, and it probably will happen because we have a lot of weak Republicans in Hamilton County, the moment it goes majority blue, watch all of these lifelong Republicans flip. And they're going to put a D next to their name and run for that same office that they've held for years, because they're not real Republicans. What's being exposed right now is the fact that you have these people who literally just put whatever they have to put next to their name on the ballot so they can get elected. They don't care about the people. They don't care about the Constitution. Remember when Governor Murphy from New Jersey on the Tucker Carlson show a few months ago said, when he was asked about, did you consult with your lawyers about overriding the Constitution? And he said, well, Tucker, that's above my pay grade. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing lawmakers who believe that the Constitution is above their pay grade, or it's not something to really consider, or it's not something really to take in mind when you're governing. And that's the problem. They swear an oath to it, but they have no idea what they're swearing an oath to. And the Constitution is specifically there, both the U.S. and the Indiana State Constitution, specifically there to make sure government stays in bounds. It's not to keep the people in bounds. It's to keep the government in bounds. The Constitution is not the law that governs we, the people. It's the law that governs those who govern. That's the whole point of our system. That's why we have such an awesome nation. It's because we have a system where the people rule, not the elite. And what you're seeing right now, and you see it in Indiana, you see it on the Washington level, you see it that these elitist governors and these elitist governing politicians they believe that they're kings. They believe that they have been put there to rule over us and not to lead us through governing. Big difference, a huge difference. It's the whole concept of servant leadership. And as a Christian and as someone who follows Christ, one of the most awesome servant leader is Jesus. He showed it to us when he walked this world, when he walked this earth, and he governs and he reigns now on the throne as a servant leader. He is King Most High. He is the most glorious, majestic King, but he is a servant to people, and he doesn't rule and lord over people. And that's the problem. You have these GOP lawmakers in Indiana, then you have don't get me wrong, like they don't know the Constitution if it hit them over the backside. However, Republicans say they know the Constitution. And then they get into office and they totally govern opposite the Constitution, which both are really bad. I think probably I get more upset with the hypocrisy that I see from the GOP than I even do the Democrats. The Democrats at least acknowledge that they don't care about the Constitution. It's like, well, you know what? We think government is the answer for all problems. Like, they at least say it, right? But Republicans say, no, we're limited government. We're personal choice, personal liberties. And then they get in and they do crap like this, like we're seeing from, Wednesday at the State House. So again, people, if you, and you know, I know here, I'm going to say this because the Republican Party, even in my hometown, has tried to kick me out. Like they don't think I'm a good little soldier and I don't go along with all their decrees and their demands. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm a real Republican. You guys are the fakers. You guys are the ones that are pulling the wool over people's eyes. I'm going to fight for the people. And here's how we go about making change. You got to win the hearts and minds of the people. Win the hearts and minds of the people, and then we can take over. We can take back our state houses. We can take back Washington. We're not going to change things with the people that we have in office right now. We're not going to. They've shown that they've sold out, that they're not for the people. They're for themselves. So win the hearts of the people, grassroots. It's all about winning the minds and the hearts of the people in our community. So when you're speaking to people, man, echo this personal liberties, constitutional war cry, and it's going to rally people. I mean, you don't get 100 people down at the State House to testify for a bill if people aren't really fed up. That doesn't happen. I mean, 100 people in a political forum is like a arena in a rock and roll forum. It's just people don't get involved and engaged in politics the way they should. So all that to say, that's my thoughts on what's happening. This is Senate Bill 74. That's what kind of led to this whole Facebook Live. Senate Bill 74, it's a good bill. Tell your legislators, if you're in Indiana, to pass this bill. It will protect the freedoms and the individual choices of Hoosiers throughout the entire state. And this, again, though, it highlights a bigger problem. We have not just Democrats anymore. We have Republicans who totally are abandoning their call to protect personal liberties and freedoms of each Hoosier and each American. So that's my thought for today. If you see stuff from the media saying, "Oh my gosh, these people are so dangerous and they're the enemy of the state," right? Because they're not wearing masks. Well, we all know how stupid the media is today. Like, if you're a journalist, you're like the new used car salesman of our culture, right? It's like, don't believe anything you say because everything you're trying to sell me is going to turn out to be a complete lie and a joke about a month down the road. So again, the media says it, probably the opposite is true. That's just my litmus test. But I wanted to remind you, if you hear that, if you see that in the media, if you're in Indiana, I was down there on Wednesday. It was an awesome group of people. They were lovely. They were kind. They were excited to be there. They were excited to engage in the process. And, everybody was safe. Nobody got sick. Nobody that I know of. I mean, and I knew a lot of those people down there. I haven't heard of one person getting COVID because of what they were doing. No one was making out with each other, spitting or coughing in each other's faces. So, it was a great time to be down there at the State House. Get engaged. Call your lawmakers. Let them know that you're standing for personal choice and personal liberty. So, all right. Love you guys, and I'll see you next time.